I didn't think I'd be making this video. I thought the other video would be the last one that I'd make today. But I have to answer a few questions people brought up. Before I get into that, I want to say I've been realizing how much I miss Christopher Hitchens. I think I've almost watched everything he's ever done. Because for the past, 4 years I've been just watching. I would I couldn't wait to get home from work because I would be like, oh, I've got the next day off, so I can sit and watch 7 hours solid of Hitchens and C-SPAN and stuff like that, you know. This is when, you know, I was making almost nothing, and it was like, okay, so this was a while ago. Not that I'm making much now, but there's a lot more to do now. Basically a free thing. People are like, why don't you watch TV? I'm like, no, I'm watching C-SPAN. Christopher Hitchens talking or debates of him. And now we're just stuck with, I thought he smashed William Lane Craig. William Lane Craig he didn't even respond to anything. He just gave these talks or whatever. But I think William Lane Craig can knock the teeth out of Dawkins. I never liked Dawkins. Moving on. The Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church. It's strange. Vatican II. I mean, I'm sympathetic to the Sedevacanists, some of them being just heresy hunters, but there were things the Roman Catholics did need to address, and in some ways they have gone back to some ideas of the ancient church. They have moved more towards orthodoxy in a little way, but then I don't know how you can reconcile the Second Vatican Council with the Council of Trent or almost any single council. Anyway, I mean, it's strange. And since the Second Vatican Council, we've seen Pope John Paul, who is many think he's a good guy. Christopher Hitchens thought he was a good guy. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything bad against him, but I will say that kissing the Quran was a point that was often heard in the Orthodox Church, that they'd say, well, because that book is responsible for the slaughter of many Eastern Christians. Limbo, somebody brought up, well, how can the Catholic Church does not believe in original sin as taught by Augustine or the Council of Orange or Calvinism. It's not total depravity, that they didn't ever accept that. It's strange, or no, I'm not going to say that he didn't say they never accepted it, that they don't accept that. Which right now, yeah, they've probably gone back to a more orthodox view of sin, ancestral sin, basically. I don't know if they have the exact same view as us, but for a very long time, they did have the view that, and it wasn't officially stated ex cathedra, and I don't think it was ever dogma. But it's weird, if the Catholic Church worked like the Orthodox Church, then Limbo would have been dogma. But it wasn't an absolute official teaching of the Catholic Church. But it was taught by the Catholic Church. I mean, it was taught by priests and nuns and held by the majority and believed by popes and everything. But it wasn't totally 100% official, which is again alien to how the Orthodox would have things. If that's what is held for such a long time, then it would be. But Limbo was the edge of hell. It was for unbaptized infants who died. and I had seen it described as basically an eternal earthly paradise. I have actually heard, because years ago I used to watch EWTN, and the Catholic priests were even saying that it was, some of them still hold to Limbo, I guess. It was eternal earthly paradise for unbaptized babies. That it was, that they would live forever in joy and ecstasy and in a paradise on earth, much like the Garden of Eden. Basically, be put back into the Garden of Eden, but that they would never be with the presence of God. That the most outer rim of hell is an eternal earthly paradise, and that's what Limbo was, because they didn't commit any sin, but they still had the stain of Adam on them. For what the Catholics teach today, I'd have to go out and actually buy a catechism. I had one years and years and years ago, probably right after I stopped going to the masjid. I picked one up and I was reading it. I thought it was, thought a lot of it was good or whatever, and then obviously my mind changed as I started going to an Anglican services. So what the Catholic Church holds, what the Roman Catholic Church holds today is not what it held 100 years ago. That's for sure. I mean, it's vastly different. And what the Catholic Church held, it's not like Orthodox, where we're basically frozen in the 5th century and that's it. You can't add anything, because they had after they got access to the works of Aristotle. Aquinas added all this transubstantiation. I think he added merit box of the saints. I think he added a lot to purgatory. I'm not sure. And then before that you had Anselm, and you had all these people. But in the West, Augustine did affect. I mean, shocking what he actually wrote. In the Eastern, people say, well, isn't he a saint in Eastern Orthodoxy? No. Since John Chrysostom called him blessed, some people in the Orthodox Church will call him blessed. And this is what I think is one of the fundamental problems of Protestants going back to the Church Fathers to try to figure out what the earlier Christians believed. Because a lot of the Church Fathers were dead wrong and are not representative. That's just one person writing, and one person does not, there's no infallible person. There's no, oh, that one's right. Unless you're talking about the person of Jesus Christ. That's the only person who ever took on humanity to be basically perfect. Going back to people like Augustine, Tertullian, Justin Martyr, Origen, even Justin Martyr can be dangerous, because you're not actually going back to the church, experiencing from inside the church, regularly taking the Eucharist and then reading these things. You're reading these things, and it's scholasticism and intellectualism. You're deriving your theology from the words of others instead of from prayer and devotion, which is, we consider that very dangerous. And Calvin went back to Augustine, and yikes, that's what happens. In the Eastern Orthodox Church, we like Origen. There's many people who we like him as a guy, and apparently I know what I had heard is that before he died, he actually went back to Orthodoxy. He didn't hold a lot of the views they did, or he was a member of the church when he died. Tertullian, no, he went off into Montanism. I know at least one person, not in the Orthodox Church, but believes that Tertullian was always a Montanist. But Origen, his like universal salvation, as I had said before, that's something that is not taught by the church, but if you believe it privately, since it's out of love and compassion, if you hold it privately, there's nothing held against you. That's not a sin. That's not any type of heresy. But again, origin becomes dangerous because you have people like Rob Bell who come around and try to just, oh, well, hell doesn't exist, love wins, blah, 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 which destroys free will, just totally destroys. Basically, God is going to get you either way. So in the Orthodox view, if you believe everyone could possibly eventually be saved being in the presence of God, yes, that a view held by some monks that the love will finally get people. But what is Rob Bell doing? Is he telling people to come to the Eastern Orthodox Church? No, he's inventing his own little cult, and he's taking what he wants and leaving the rest, which is despicable. So it's when people are outside the Eastern Orthodox Church, and then they say, "Oh, we can understand," or anything like that. Which, who cares about understanding? You want to experience it. I mean, that's when we say, even knowledge and everything. It's experience. That's why I won't argue with an atheist about the existence of God. I won't argue atheism against atheism. When people start to say, like, Christianity is more violent than Islam, then I will be like, wait a minute, hold on. You said that to the wrong person. Or just strange things like that. That's when I'll start arguing with somebody who may be an atheist, but it's not because they're an atheist that I'm arguing against them. I think I made that clear. Somebody asked me, do we believe baptism is necessary for salvation? It's a Westerner asking me, obviously. Yes and no. A Christian must be baptized. But we have the thief on the cross, no record of being baptized. We have, the Roman centurion whose daughter was healed, who Christ said, one such as this, and we're told about other sheep. So salvation is not so cut and dry, but necessary for life in Christ, absolutely. Salvation, healing, yes. Can you still be a Christian and still be with Christ and still go back to God and be in heaven, is the view of the West, I guess, without baptism? There have been people who have. We know, thief on the cross, in fact. There's a view held by the Catholics called baptism by desire, where if you want to be, now if you reject baptism, if you say I will not be baptized, now you're running into a problem. It's just like saying I will never take the Eucharist, I will never bear fruit, I will never do this, and you start opposing things. I will never believe in the Trinity, I will never believe in hypostatic union. But baptism is essentially a part of the Christian life. This is something that we're told to do by the church and have always been told to do. So do you need to be baptized? Yes. Were there people who were not baptized who are in heaven? Yes. It's your faith, it's a contrite heart, and again, faith is active, not passive. That's why we scratch our heads at the faith versus works thing. 'Cause to us, it's clear in Paul and all of his writings and James. It's totally clear. But the Catholics and the Protestants seem to bicker about it because they made these systematic theologies, which it's weird. No, belief is passive, even the demons' belief. Faith is active. baptism necessary for salvation? I should probably make a whole video on that, but I think you got a good answer. This pretty solid. Not solid. I don't want to be too well. Let's run out of time. Peace to you. May God save Serbia. Again, I promise I will get to this sign. This has been Yusef. I couldn't wait to get home from work because I would be like, oh, I've got the next day off, so I can sit and watch 7 hours solid of Hitchens and C-SPAN and stuff like that. You know. I want to say. I've been realizing how much I miss Christopher Hitchens. I think I've almost watched everything he's ever done. Because for the past, 4 years I've been just watching. This is when, I was making almost nothing, and it was like, okay, so this was a while ago. Not that I'm making much now, but there's a lot more to do now. Basically a free thing. People are like, why don't you watch TV? I'm like, no, I'm watching C-SPAN. Christopher Hitchens talking or debates of him. And now we're just stuck with, I thought he smashed William Lane Craig. William Lane Craig. I didn't think I'd be making this video. I thought the other video would be the last one that I'd make today. But I have to answer a few questions people brought up. Before I get into that,